Well, it's been a big couple of days. In fact, it's been a big week or two, really. I've kicked a few goals. Our podcast launched today, more on that later. AITT conference last week and getting the analysis done. So that was a big push the last 2 days to do that initial analysis on the feedback on the capability map survey. So I feel like a little bit of the pressure is off for a day or two and I can take it at a slower pace. Even though I was busy yesterday, as I was walking back from my morning coffee, I just had this sense of like completeness, happiness, contentment, being at peace, being in the moment. There was no sense of lack or desire. So finally, after months of preparation, Learning Uncut podcast is live. We've got 2 episodes up. The first is an intro from Karen and I. The second is our first guest, the wonderful instructional designer, Nicole White. So if you're curious about it, hashtag Learning Uncut is where you'll find information on LinkedIn and Twitter. I've got the link to the website up on this post, and you can download it from the Android and iTunes podcast stores. Let me know. It's funny, so many months of preparation has gone into this, recording all the episodes. Fortunately, I haven't had to do too much on the technical side of things, but huge effort. And now it's out there, and here I am sitting on my own in an apartment in Surfers, isolated from. So because I'm not physically present with the people who help create it, because we haven't kind of got a launch event, I don't know, it feels like a little bit of an anticlimax, but let's see, we're getting plenty of traffic on LinkedIn. In the meantime, I've been going back over our episode planner. We've got all the different steps laid out of the recording process, all of our guests and where we're at. So I've been doing a bit of a catch up with the admin. So it's 1 o'clock and I've just gotten off a webinar which Aaron and I ran. It was a follow-up to our workshops on making the shift from being an order taker to a performance partner. So this is part of the learning transfer application strategy for the program. It's a chance for people to get off the busyness of being on the dance floor and step up on the balcony and take a look at how they've shifted as a performance partner. To have a look at how their behaviour as a performance partner and the results they're getting as a performance partner have shifted, as well as looking at a reflection to look about something they've done in the past week that's related to being a performance partner, what they could have done differently, or indeed what they could continue if something worked well, and what their key takeaways and lessons are. We then encourage people to share some of those key takeaways and lessons. And what was interesting, Aaron suggested people use a second person to help them with their reflection as an observer, because often we're too critical in ourselves and we focus on the things we didn't do well rather than what went well. One of the reflections I really liked was someone talked about having a performance mapping conversation. It's a technique we use in the workshop. They had a conversation with the stakeholder. They felt it was clunky, but the client was one step closer to a broader solution, a better solution that was going to lead to higher performance impact, and they were happy. It wasn't the full solution, but it took them a step forward. And I like to use the saying that change happens one conversation at a time, both big changes and little changes. I think this is a good example. It's interesting that quite a few of the participants, sort of 3 weeks after their workshop, 2 to 3 weeks out, their next step, the action they've committed to, is actually to sharing the process, to walking someone else through the process as a way of reminding themselves and But to learn something, that's a great first step, but of course there's nothing like giving it a go and practicing. The good thing about this performance mapping process is that you can use it on yourself, so there's a way of practicing which is low risk. So this process is all around looking at what behaviours need to change in order to improve performance, which you can apply on an individual level, and is it knowledge, skills, motivation or environment? What are the factors, the levers that need to shift behaviour? Okay, after 2.5 days of working pretty solidly, it's time for me to take a break. So Jess and I are off for a treat. Okay, this is Jess's technique for getting from the top bunk to the bottom bunk. I think this girl needs to get back into gymnastics myself.